When a company keeps track of data, it's got the whole company's interests in mind. The human resources department, the sales department, the production department, because this information is valuable for doing business. Now, if we expand JProCo, you'll notice we have a number of tables. Customer table is probably valuable for the customer department. The grant table might be valuable for human resources or community affairs department. Pay rates is valuable for HR. This table, contractor, is pretty powerful for production. But we don't know that for sure. I mean, there's no prefix to these tables. There's no hint about what the importance or what the area of these tables is. There's no namespace. There's no category for these tables. Well, that's kind of common for tables to start with DBO, but there is a new capability ever since SQL 2005 called schemas. Now, let's expand the AdventureWorks database, expand tables, and notice we can tell that the employee table belongs to the human resources department, and the employee address table belongs to human resources, and the shift table also belongs to the human resources department. The contact table belongs to the person department, and if we scroll down, we see credit card, currency, customer. They all belong to the sales department. This two-part name for tables has been around for a while, but we always used to call it DBO. Now this two-part name consists of a schema name and an object name. In this case, the object is a table called customer. What we're going to do is show you how to create tables that are inside of a particular schema. Now, rather than altering the JProCo database, we're going to start off fresh by giving you an example in the Radiscode database. The Radiscode database currently has no tables, so let's go ahead and make sure that we are in the Radiscode database context and do a create table statement. Type create table, and we'll call this one customer. And we'll give it 3 fields. Customer ID, which we'll make as an int and the primary key. And the next field will be customer name, which is a varchar 50. And we'll say that's not null. Let's say city, which is a varchar 30. And that's not null. And if we were to run this, what kind of a name does it get? Well, let's do it. Let's look. It was called DBO.customer. And let's say we didn't want that. So let's get rid of this table. Delete. Click OK. And now let's recreate it as sales.customer. Let's try to run this. And it says, hey, okay, you are trying to create this table in the sales schema. Now, you either don't have a sales schema or you don't have permissions. Now, I'm a system administrator, so I know I got permissions to everything. So this tells me, you know what? If I'm going to put a bunch of tables inside of a sales container or a sales schema, I better have a sales schema. So, before we create this table, let's get ready for a bunch of tables just like it by saying create schema, and we'll call it sales. Okay, let's say go, highlight this, and run it. Now we can run this create table statement. It works successfully. Refresh the table. There's our sales.customer table. So how do you verify what schemas are existing on your database? In this case, let's look at the Radiscode database. We know we have a sales schema now, but there might be other schemas that you created, or there could be schemas that the system has created for you when you installed. It's in a very counterintuitive place. You don't expand the tables folder, you expand the security folder, expand schemas, and here's all of the schemas. Now, some were created for you by the system, but you can see there is a sales schema. Now, there's no human resources schema, but if we copied and pasted this command and changed the word from sales to human resources and select it and run it, we have a human resources schema visible as soon as we refresh the screen. There we go. Now we are free to create tables inside the human resources schema. Let's do the same thing for the purchasing schema. Copy and paste this, change it to purchasing, run those lines, commands completed successfully, purchasing schema created. Let's refresh and check, and we see the purchasing schema is there. Now we want to create two more schemas, people and production. We can use code, or you can just right-click the schema folder and say new schema, type in the name as people, click OK, and you see the people schema. Right-click schemas, say new schema, and then say production. Click OK. And we have 5 new schemas that we've added in the last few minutes. Let's add 2 records to our sales.customer table and then discover how these schemas are useful and how to use them. Right-click your customers table and let's go ahead and edit the rows. Right now there aren't any rows, but at least we have an editor where we can enter the information. Let's say the customer ID number is 1 and the name is Mattress King and they're from the city of Toronto. And now, customer number 2 is Kush Rama, and we'll say they're from Fargo. Okay, let's close out of this editor, go to a new query window, and let's select all fields from that table using the qualified name sales.customer, and run it. And you see your 2 records. Okay, let's try to select from the table using its simple name. Just select star from customer. Run that. And it says invalid object name. It would say, hey, I can't find that exact table. You should probably qualify this with a schema. Let's change this back to the JProCode database context. Now the JProCode database does not have a sales customer table, so it gets an unknown. But you can qualify this even further by saying select all fields from Ratisco dot sales dot customer and run it. From the JProCode database, I just selected a Ratisco table because I specified the database name, the schema name, and the object name. Lab 2.1, Skill Check 1. In the JProCode database, use T-SQL code to create the following 5 schemas: human resources, purchasing, production, person, and sales. When you're done, you should see the following schemas in your schema view in Object Explorer.